Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Challenge Racism for Businesses and Employers program, presented in partnership with the Ajax Public Library, the Women's Multicultural Resource and Counseling Center of Durham, which is also known as the Wmrcc, the Town of Ajax Economic Development, and the Ajax-Pickering Board of Trade. I'm Julia Campbell, and I'm the Adult Services Librarian at the Ajax Library. So I would just like to begin this program by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is situated within the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas. More specifically, the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, signatories of the Gunshot Treaty of 1788 and the Williams Treaties of 1923. This land is and will continue to be home to the Indigenous peoples. Let us acknowledge the mistakes and traumas of the past through authenticity and support truth and reconciliation. And let us engage and celebrate Indigenous communities by being leaders of action and acknowledging the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's recommendations towards truth and reconciliation. And let us keep these principles close as we continue towards truth and reconciliation and as we move forward with kindness and respect as a community. So just a couple of housekeeping items. This morning's program is being recorded, so I would ask that you please keep yourself muted so that you are not heard in the recording and just to minimize any distractions. And the chat button is there along the bottom. If you have any questions or comments you would like to share, please feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation, and our presenters will get to them either during the presentation or at the end. And we also have closed captioning of our program today. So if you would like to turn on the captions, you can do so by clicking live transcript at the bottom of the Zoom screen and then show subtitles. So now it is my pleasure to turn it over to Esther Onyulu, Executive Director of the Wmrcc of Durham. Esther is a trauma-informed counselor and a guest lecturer and trainer on gender-based violence, diversity, equity, inclusion, and social justice, and she has been working in the human service field for over 30 years. She is a mentor to many, and she has a BA honors in sociology, anthropology, and women's studies, as well as an MBA. And today, Esther will share about the Wmrcc's recent Challenge Racism project and how your business or organization can address barriers and improve policies and practices to combat racism. We are very lucky to have her with us this morning, so without further ado, I will turn it over to Esther to begin her presentation.
Thank you so much, Julia, for that introduction. It is a great pleasure to partner with the Ajax Public Library, the Town of Ajax, and the Ajax-Pickering Board of Trade. Thank you for organizing this event, and we are happy to be part of it. And I'm also especially happy to be asked to present on this important project that Wmrcc just completed a few months ago in March 2022. Thank you for the introduction. Wmrcc of Durham is a community-based organization and a charitable organization founded in 1993. To provide services to women of all ages, youth and children from diverse backgrounds, including newcomers and immigrants who experience violence and dealing with other issues. The organization, as I mentioned, was started in 1993, and over the years, the organization has undertaken a lot of initiatives to support members of our community, and this project is one of the initiatives we started during the pandemic. In early January 2020, there was a proposal call from the Department of Canadian Heritage. Wmrcc was able to submit an application to do this project called Challenge Racism Project, What to Do steps. But we're supposed to start the project in April 2020, but due to the pandemic, we did not hear from the department until October 2020 to notify us about the sources, about selecting us as one of the organizations to undertake this initiative. And we were told that out of 1,200 and something proposals across Canada, only 88 organizations were funded for this project. And in Ontario, it was 44 organizations. So we find ourselves privileged to be one of those 44 organizations in Ontario to be selected to undertake this project. And it is very interesting project. And we really appreciate the support we receive from the community in implementing the project. Everybody was supportive when we approached them to be part of the project. So our expected results after the completion of this project are to increase resources, campaigns, and services which address barriers to employment for equity deserving members of our community. And the equity deserving members of our community include BIPOC, racialized people, indigenous, people with disability, 2SLGBTQ+ group, religious group. So members, minority members from the underrepresented communities. So those are the people this project was targeted or geared towards. And we had our first year. As I mentioned to you, due to the short period when we received the grant, it's supposed to be one full year from April 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2021. But due to the pandemic, we did not hear from the Department of Canadian Heritage for this project. We heard from them in October and everything was like rush. We were able to hire a staff project coordinator who started right away. And instead of 12 months, we ended up conducting the activities of the phase 1 in 5 months. And luckily, we were able to meet that. And the year 2, we had more time to implement the project activities. So Mina will be helping me in sharing the slide of the presentation. So, and I would like to thank all of you who have logged in this morning to join us to be part of this. And I am looking forward to answer your questions at the end of the presentation. And after my presentation, I have Daniel too. Daniel is the consultant from Neighbor then who helped us to develop the app for the Challenge Racism app. So he will be able to present, to show you how to use the app and how to access the app for this project. So Mina, please, if you can help me to share the slides, okay? Okay. So I think I have gone through this, indicating that we received this grant in 2020 from the Department of Canadian Heritage. The project Challenge Racism What to Do Steps aims to address barriers to employment for racialized, ethnocultural, religious, women, people with disabilities, and 2LGBTQ+ groups in Durham Region. Next, please. So in the first phase of this project, Wmrcc started with outreach. And you know, it was during the pandemic. There was no face-to-face activity. It was all virtual. We sent out email, call different organizations, because the first initiative was to do consultation with 14 businesses, municipalities, media, and community organizations. So in the first phase of the project, we were able to engage different towns, cities, municipalities, businesses, community organizations, and 2 media groups. We outreach to them, informing them about the project, telling them what was required and the information we were looking forward to obtain from them. That is, we were looking to obtain their policies, procedures, to see if they have policies on employment, attraction, retention, promotion, and what their policies have been around hiring people who fit into the category of the population Wmrcc was targeting for this project. We were able to conduct one-on-one interview with human resources departments of these organizations across the Durham region. Through our interactions with these individuals, the HR departments of these organizations that we met to conduct consultation and interviews to find out what their policies, practices have been around hiring, retention, and promotion of ethnocultural, racialized, 2S LGBTQ1+, women, newcomers, immigrants, minority groups. We found out through the research that many of these organizations have framework they can build on for addressing employment barriers. Some of them have policies on hiring and also on discrimination, harassment policies. So each organization we are at different levels. So and have their different approaches of recruitment, hiring, and retaining members of these categories or these groups. But there was still room for improvement from some of these groups that we conducted interview with. Please, next slide. So after we conducted interviews, consultation with these 14 towns, cities, businesses, community organizations, and 2 media groups. The next step from the project was to conduct consultation with members of the ethnocultural group, racialized group, people with disabilities, women, members of the 2S LGBTQ1+, and newcomers, immigrants. So we conducted a series of community consultation. All these were all virtual, no face-to-face meeting. And each group comprised of 10 individuals. We just wanted it to be a small group because we didn't want it to be a large group so that everybody could participate. So we had 4 focus group discussions with 38 participants attended. So each group we had 10 individuals, and there was 1 or 2 groups that we had more individuals, like 12. That is people who missed their own group. We had to regroup them to join other groups. We conducted this focus group, and the intent of the focus group was to gather information about the people's, these groups, members who participated, to share about their experiences with employment, finding job, retaining job, and getting promoted while on the job. So we gathered, collected their information. They shared a lot of information, depending on whom it is and where that individual has worked. Some of them shared some stories of discrimination, some stories of racism, some stories of unjust treatment while on the job. So we collected all their feedback. And the third activity within this first year was to meet again with members of the HR department of these 14 towns, cities, municipalities, businesses, and community organizations and media group, whom we consulted. We started with to gather information about their practices. And it wasn't all of them. We just selected few members within this group, one representative from each category, and we brought them together with also some few representatives from these members of the marginalized communities we did consultation with. So, and the purpose of bringing them together is to get to share the experiences, get to hear what they have said, and also to dialogue what can be done to improve a system where there was gap, what we can all do to make things better. And it was a good process, because before we continue, we had grand rules that the intent wasn't to bring people, to insult people, or to attack people. It is about us working as a community to see what could work for us, how can we move forward. So that's what this engagement was for. So we had 3 engagement sessions with 58 participants attending. And these participants were able to share, dialogue, come up, brainstorm, have discussions, what can be done to improve things for the future. Okay, next slide, please. In phase 1 of year 2 of the project, and based on the outcome of the community consultations, the project put forward some recommendations and developed a booklet, an app, a Challenge Racism app. So we developed a book actually in March 2021. We produced a report which we submitted to the ministry, the Department of Canadian Heritage, like indicating the outcomes of the activities we did in year 1, which was about our consultation meetings with HR department of the municipalities, towns, and cities, businesses, community organizations, and media group. So we produced a report about the activities, the outcomes of all the initiatives we did in year 1. And in year 2 of the project, the year 2 of the project was to write a booklet, prepare a booklet based on the outcomes of year 1 activities. So we produced this booklet in French and English. And the French and English version of these activities, you will find when you go to our website, and also when you Google Wmrcc Challenge Racism Project, you will be able to see the booklet in both English and in French. But we have the English version in booklet as a book. Like, yeah, we have the booklet in English. We were unable to also produce it in French, but you can feel free to download it. As I mentioned to you, if you go to Wmrcc under the Challenge Racism Project, you can download the booklet in English or in French. So we produce this booklet, putting forward all the activities and the recommendations members of the marginalized community, BIPOC, who participated in the project provided, and also resources for employment seekers, and resources also for human resources department organizations to help them to amend or to improve things in their hiring practices, retention, and promotion of members of those communities. And later on, then we get into describing the app and telling you how it can be downloaded and how you can access it using different systems, phone and any other format. Okay, Mina, please, the next. Okay, as I mentioned, this booklet aims to recommend some key practices for employers to make effort in recruiting, mentoring, and retaining members of ethnocultural, racialized, religious, 2S LGBTQ, women, and BIPOC groups in employment. The goal is to continue to challenge the organization's activism and advocacy in the area of combating racism, discrimination, gender-based inequality, and promoting inclusiveness in the workplace and other institutions. On the other hand, this booklet seeks to empower employment seekers to find gainful employment opportunities and successfully navigate their career trajectories. 100 hard copies of the booklet have been printed in English only. The hard copies are in English, but as I mentioned, people can download going to our website or just Googling Challenge Racism, Wmrcc Challenge Racism Booklet. Also, we were able to contact all the libraries across Durham Region. So if you go to the libraries across Durham Region, you will find the booklet as well, because they are archived, they are in the libraries, so that the communities can access it also through the libraries. Also, we are intending that some of the universities, I know the Queen's University also requested to have some copies, and we are looking forward that other communities, schools, universities, colleges can have the copies in their libraries. So next, please. So the highlights of the booklet use argumentative realities to present information through video. So if you will see, we started the argumentative reality videos throughout the booklet. So you just need to, maybe Dan will explain that too, because it is the technology part. You will be able to, if you put your phone on the argument, on the picture, you will be able to read. So we incorporated argumentative reality in the booklet as well. We have app. The app is to enable people also to get resources, to get information about how to find jobs and other informations. But Dan is going to explain this because he will do a better job than I will do to it. So I will leave it to Dan when he's explaining to you to discuss detail about the video, the argumentative reality, and how to use the app. Also, in this project, we also collected a series of videos from organizations who participated. That is those cities, municipalities, community organizations, media groups, and also other members of the community. They did a video. And if you go on YouTube, you will be able to access those videos to show you what those organizations have been doing, their commitment in challenging racism and to trying to eliminate challenges and barriers that members of the BIPOC or racialized, ethnocultural, 2S LGBTQ women, people with disabilities encounter while trying to get into the labor market. So feel free to also watch the video. We really work hard on this project, and I'm happy, very happy about the success of this initiative, the hard work of the staff members, the evaluators, the consultants. In the first year, we retained a consultant who helped us to shape the structure of the project. That the consultant was only for the year one, and after that, we continued to work with the evaluators who help us. We were able to engage one consultant and 2 evaluators. And during the course of the 2 years, we started by hiring Selena Delimini, who worked in the year one, and she had to leave, move on, and we hired Edlin, actually Nirani Peter and Edlin Angrove, who also helped us to continue in year 2. And I want to appreciate these women because they did an awesome job with the project. And apart from this, in year 2 was also to recruit young leaders, youth, who will help us to keep this project, to keep the momentum of the project, so that the Challenge Racism project will continue to exist, so that it will not be like other projects. We want to keep the momentum going. We recruited some youth who participated in activities, youth workshop, and we invited some mentors in the community who came to speak. We had about 10 community workshops with these community members we engaged, and youth who we recruited to continue to be advocates on issues of challenge racism. And with the app and the booklet, we know that we've developed the app, but every year the app has to be updated. So the booklet, we will continue to do work to update the booklets, to update the apps, and to make sure that the recommendations that we put forward in this initiative we continue to manifest, so that that people will continue to use the resources we develop and the recommendations that we put forward. we collected from members of our community who participated in the project will be a living reality, that organizations will embrace it and make sure that they eliminate barriers that certain members of our communities encounter while on the job or while trying to gain access to employment. So that is what we are aiming for with this project. So I will stop here, and I'm looking forward to answering any question or questions members who are participating to this morning might have for us. And we want to hand this over. I don't know, Mina, if there is any other slide after this, please, can I see the next slide to make sure I've covered? Okay. The app is a companion to the booklet, and anybody accessing the booklet also, we need to use the app. So the app is the enabler of the booklet. The purpose of the app is to help employers with resources, ensuring that the employment practices, policies, and procedures are kept in alliance with diversity, equity, and inclusion, including human rights. The app is also to help members of the BIPOC that this project was intended to eliminate barriers for them to have access to resources that they need to gain employment and to retain jobs, be promoted while on the job, and for them to successfully navigate their career path. So that is what this project is all about. But I will leave it here, and I will like to introduce Dan. Dan, please, if you can pick up from here before we can accept questions from the participants. Thank you all for listening.
Thanks, Esther, and good morning, everyone. It is wonderful to be with you and to have been involved in this project. My team was brought in as the technology group to support the vision for this initiative. We had prepared the physical booklet, but the idea, as Esther alluded to, was to also have a digital companion that could be with people, whether they were employers or job seekers, at any point in time. Because as we all know, our devices are the item that we have with us alongside our wallet and whatever else, everywhere we go. So what I'm gonna do is just take a couple minutes this morning to introduce the app to you and let you know where you can find it. So what I have to do right now is turn off my video, and I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, I seem to have lost my ability to share my screen. Would someone make me a co-presenter again?
You
Great.
should be a co-host now.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, so let me start. I'm using an Android device, but the app is available both on Android and iPhone devices. If I go into my app store and I search for Challenge Racism, you'll see our app at the top of the list. There in North America are not many resources like this out there. In fact, you can see here, there's just a couple showing up. When we launched the app originally, this was the only racism-related app that could be found in both the Apple Store and the Android Store. And so it really speaks to the fact that there is a need in our world, in our communities, for something like this. And really, there's the foresight that Wmrcc had in putting this together and having a digital component to it. I already have the app downloaded on my phone, so I'll just open that up right now. And the idea here was to take all of the content that was available in the booklet format and make it readily available to people, really easy to access and to use and to find the information that they specifically needed at any given moment in time. So you'll see here that there are 3 different channels available: employers, job seekers, and local groups. I'll start off with employers. So when I click on that button, here are the different subsections that are available. You can see it for yourself or download the app and explore it later, but really the idea here was to make it really simple for people to drill down and find the information that they are looking for, as I said, for any given moment. And so again, the idea here is to make it really intuitive, right at our fingertips, and even making it easy to toggle between the different perspectives. So even though I'm an employer, I might still be interested in if I'm an employer, I might still be interested in what content is available on the job seeker side. And so we've made this all available to anyone that has the app. I just clicked on the bottom icon, job seekers, which took me into the job seekers section. So here you see a different table of contents. And again, you can drill down and find the information that you're looking for. Now, on the main page where we logged in, there's the search as well. So if someone isn't sure, they have something specific that they're looking for, they can type in the keyword and it'll point them to the different sections that have content related to those keywords. So here I typed in diversity and there are 3 different items that popped up that might be of interest and help to me. So the final section is local groups. And this is what Esther alluded to before, where we've tried to be all-encompassing for Durham Region in terms of helping people find the different groups in the different categories. And this is something that will be maintained on an ongoing basis to try and make sure it's always up to date. And that is the app. Simple, powerful, and very relevant information. So let me figure out how to stop sharing my screen and I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Daniel. So I guess it is time, Julia, so I will hand it over to you, Julia, because you are the moderator.
Sure. Thank you so much to Esther and Daniel for sharing all of that information with us this morning. So as Esther and Daniel mentioned, we can now open it up for questions. Just to start things off, though, I know earlier in your presentation, Esther, you mentioned the augmented reality videos. Is there any way that we could hear more about that or see a demonstration of those videos?
I'm sorry, I should have made mention of that. So as an additional enhancement to the printed booklet, we incorporated this augmented reality component. And the idea here was to make the video content readily available to people at their fingertip. And so with the corresponding Neighbor app, they would simply scan an image and the video would present itself in the lens on their phone device. So it's really as simple as that. There's an instructional page, I think, on the first or second page of the booklet that outlines the details for this. And again, it's not that people couldn't go to the YouTube channel and view all of these videos, but the idea was to connect the narrative. So when someone was reading something and consuming that content in the moment, they could also access the multimedia content that was produced in tandem. Sorry, and one last thing you just reminded me of, Julie, is Esther mentioned this, but I didn't reinforce it, that the app is available on mobile devices, so any Apple or Android device, Samsung, whatever, but also we did it in a manner that would work on tablets as well. So it's available on pretty much any sort of mobile device.
Great, thank you. And I see that there's a question from Adrian. He asked, is the app available in any other languages than English?
At this time, it is not. The booklet is, I believe, but the app is not.
Okay. And then his other question was, can organizations be added to the community listings, and what would the process be for that?
I know that is the tough one. Actually, after we finish, the organizations listed were those who participated. I know also we are getting that question from different organizations, wanting to know if the organizations could be included. But I'm saying to them, unfortunately, it will not, because the organizations, I don't know how to best put it, okay? Because we are only putting those who actually, just like the meeting, this community engagement we are doing today. So it is people who attended that we will say, adding other people, we mean that, that kind, I don't know how to say it. So that's what it is. But when we are updating it, if there is any other thing, any activity that we initiated, we can include other organizations. We can use it to include other organizations. But the people we have listed are actually those who really involved, like community, municipalities, towns, cities, organizations, media group that we initially engaged, and also members of the BIPOC, or ethno-cultural, racialized, to LGBT women, people with disabilities. So those groups who actually participated in the consultation, who answered those questions, who shared the experiences about barriers to employment. So those are the people that we've listed. But any other future activities, we will be able to include other people who attended those events. We will expand the list. So that is what we are intending to do.
Thank you, Esther. We also had a question from Danielle, who just said, thank you for sharing, Esther and Daniel, great work. How has been the uptake with the app so far? And any feedback on employers' experience using the resources, or any early results from the evaluation?
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Daniel.
I can answer the first part, Esther, and then you can answer the second.
Sure.
When we had the initial launch event, when Esther and her team had scheduled the launch event, we had a groundswell of adoption throughout the community. And so initially there was a very good uptake and interest in the app. And we've seen a steady growth. It's hard for us. We don't require any personal information for people using the app. It's an informational app. It's not an app where we're collecting any sort of information. And so it's hard to know where or how broad a reach the app has. But for the most part, I can tell that all the downloads have been in Ontario. And I know Esther's promoting this, or at least there's interest in other regions for the work that they've done. So yes, there's been definite interest. There was a strong initial download, and then there's been just kind of a slow, steady stream since then. And it's all new.
Oh, go ahead, Dan.
And it's all still very new. So I think there's a lot of awareness still to be built.
Okay, I forgot to mention this. We have been doing, if you look at our social media, you will see that we've been doing series every week until of recent, because I think Elaine left end of May. We constantly have postings about employment, recruitment, all this. So it filled our social media with campaign about employment, about retention, about resources, and all those information. And also with the app, we also selected few organizations and few members of the community to try it out and give us feedback on how they find it, whether it was user-friendly or like to give us feedback. So we did that as well.
Great. And then just a couple of other questions from Adrian. So can specific programs from partners be listed separately, i.e. BA, CCO, ACDR, African, Caribbean, and Black Community Outreach Program? And then also, how can we as community partners assist with spreading the word about the app? Can we post it as a resource on our own websites?
That is okay, because one of the initiatives, which I also failed to mention to you, was sharing the outcome of the booklet with community members. Actually, your questions have triggered some other things I didn't mention when I was doing my presentation. So we had about 32 outreach and engagement sessions with members of the community. So we also, everything was virtual. We met with different groups and we approached different already existing groups, requesting for them to give us opportunity to come to their groups meetings to do presentation about the project, about the outcome, about the booklet, about the app. So we did that. So, so that's what we wanted. And when we did those outreach, people, the audience participants, we asked us, oh, is it okay for us to put it on our website? Is it okay for us to, we say yes, because it is, we did the project, but the outcome of it belongs to the community. So everybody has the right. If you want to put the booklets in your website, go free, you are free to do so. So there is no restriction. That's what we want. We want as many individuals, communities to have access to it. That's why we put them on websites and the app. So people might be in India, in Africa, in Middle East, across Canada, anywhere you are able to. The work was done in Durham Region, but it is not intentionally only for members of the Durham Region. Anybody, anywhere can have access, because what is relevant in our community is relevant elsewhere. So it is a community resources that anybody can Google and use it and have access to it. So do not feel that you have our permission to share the information or to post it on your website or to do anything with it. Feel free to share, because that's what we want. We want as many individuals to have access to it and to use it and to use the resources.
Great, thank you. And I've also had another question just about whether there will be any other programs to promote business networking opportunities in the future. So in terms of the library, I can't think of any networking opportunities that come to mind, but I know the Ajax-Pickering Board of Trade, they do a lot of business networking events. So you can find them on their website. And then Mina from the town of Ajax Economic Development is also here, and they also run some networking events. So I will turn it over to Mina in case there's anything upcoming.
Yes, so good morning, everyone. So we do run networking events. Our networking events are called Ajax Business Networking, where we bring in a subject matter expert to speak on certain skills and that will help you run your business more confidently with the skills and networking. Our next one is actually June 29th at 8:30 a.m. and we have a speaker from BDC coming in and speaking on the services that they provide to entrepreneurs. So if you're interested in that, please check it out. I'll leave a link to the registration page in the chat for more information on that.
And following this presentation, I'll also be sending out all of the resources that have been discussed today, and I can include a link to the event that Mina just discussed. And I think we have one final question. So have you partnered with colleges and universities in the region? This would be a great resource for students in particular.
Yes, we did. We also did presentations at those schools at Durham College, UOIT, or Ontario Tech, and Trent University.
Great. Well, if there aren't any other questions.
And also, I want to mention, because I see Titi's name in this group, they are the Durham Unemployment Help is also doing a similar project from the same department of Canadian Heritage. They got the grant last year. So the work continues in the community. So, with Wmrcc work already completed and the work that Durham Unemployment Help is doing. So our community has lots of resources to tap into in this area.
Thank you so much for that mention, Esther, and really good job being done by Wmrcc, and it was a great presentation. So thank you, Julia, as well, for hosting it.
Thank you. And thank you to Esther and Daniel again. And thank you all for joining us. So keep an eye on your email, because I will be sending the links out to the booklet and the app, as well as the Wmrcc and the other resources that were discussed today. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day.
Thank you so much, Julia. And thank you, Mina, for the efforts you put into organizing this event. And thank you to everybody. Daniel, thank you for being here to present with me. And thanks to Adrian, Lincoln, Titi, BC, Hannah, Danielle, and everyone who joined us this morning. We appreciate you attending. Thanks and have a great day. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you so much, Esther. I hope everyone has a great day.
You too.